for the heavyweight championship of the world. Are you ready?
Welcome to Unanimous Corner, bringing you another episode of Unanimous Decision. And today, who we talking to, Bill?
Hey, you heard what he said. Unanimous Decision. That's our exclusive interview series. And today we have a good one. This guy hails from Chicago, Illinois, and he has performed with such greats as Ray Charles, Hell Melvin and the Blue Notes, Kool and the Gang, and Gladys Knight and the Pips. He is a part of a legendary dance group called the Chicago Puppets, who performed on Soul Train. He is a singer, songwriter, and actor, and overall entertainer. Today, we're bringing you none other than Maurice Christian.
All right, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
Hey, Maurice, first and foremost, we want to thank you for joining us today. You ready to step into the ring with a heavyweight?
Barry, yes, I am.
All right, cool. Well, we're in the ring with a heavyweight, so let's do it. So, Mr. Christian, people argue New York City, but it holds the same thing holds true with Chicago. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So, growing up in Chicago, what influence did the city have on your music?
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Smokey Robinson. Of course, the Jackson 5 right next door in Indiana. Growing
Quincy
up.
Jones?
Well, definitely Quincy. Quincy is the reason for Michael blowing up like that. You know, the Brothers Johnson, blew them up. Everything he touched turns to gold.
23.
So yeah. So that was the influence there, and joining the group. So you can imagine being in a dance group. We heard all types of music, Confunction, Average White Band. I mean, we just everybody, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Kool and the Gang, the dancing, so we heard different types of music. And my mom, Nat King Cole, Jerry Butler, Sam Cooke, going way back there, B.B. King, Albert King, a whole bunch of stuff, Mahalia Jackson, but as far as my musical influence, as far as me growing up in my style, was a lot to do with Smokey Robinson because of his lyrical contents. And I would listen and I would always say, well, how is he coming up with these words like that? And because he always used a lot of cliches and put them in a poetic fashion. And that's what Smokey used to do. And I would listen. I was like, how does he come up with those words? Things like that. And I had started following him. So I have his anthology. I know all his stuff. And I can sound like him whenever I want to, so that was my musical influence.
Got you. Maurice, you were a member of the legendary Chicago Puppets. If I'm not mistaken.
Was. Okay. I still am in a way.
Okay. And you guys performed on Soul Train.
We did. The original Soul Train in Chicago from the Board of Trade building. That's where it was started.
Wow.
So it all started that. Wow. And then before he moved to California and started his broadcast from there. The unfortunate thing about that is they broadcast it, but they did not archive. In other words, they didn't record anything.
Oh.
So there's no recording or anything. So now the discrepancy in the debate is it started in California. So the California dancers think they're the original Soul Train dancers.
No, exactly. Can you talk about Can you talk about the origins of the group and how you made your way to Soul Train?
Yeah, what happened was they started back in 76, around 1976 back there. I was still in high school. So I had a buddy that lived like one door down from me. He used to cut class and go down there. He's discovered it. And he would go down and get on the taping, the broadcasting and everything. So he met some other guys down there that had already formed a group called the Puppets. Then he came back, he told me, he said, hey, let's get a dance group and da-da-da. So we got our dance group together. It was called the Phase 4 Dancers. So it consisted of my sister and my cousin, he and I. So we Phase 4 Dancers, so we did some little things. After a minute, after going down the Soul Train for so long, he befriended the original Puppets. And then he said, hey, Maurice, let's get into puppets. I was a goody two shoes. I was not cutting class to go down to dance on Soul Train. I was not going to get killed by my parents because there would be no me and no Soul Train. So we went down and we met them. And that was the day Donna Summers was there. So she was filming. She had just came out, and I was looking at this tall lady with this big fur coat on. I'm like, whoa, who's this gigantic lady up here? But she was really nice. But anyway, that's where it all started. That's Chicago. So my buddy ended up getting into the group. Then he introduced me into the group. So from that point, by that time, it was like 1977. So in 1977, I had joined the group. And then we took off on a tour with Wolfman Jack. So in between that time, there was where we had met Wolfman from the University of Chicago, where he was filming Rock Koshner's Midnight Concert, where they would broadcast at midnight. All the famous groups, any group you can name, they had on that show. So it's produced by Bert Sugarman. And that's where we met him. And he inducted us into this show that they had already had planned. He said, well, give us your contact information. We're going to call you. So that's what he did. So we showed him a little routine. He liked that. And he said, we got to have him on our tour. And he said, okay, well, we're going to come back and pick him up later. So that's what we did. And then after that, they did. It was almost a year later, but they picked us up, took us on tour. And after that, they said, hey, can you guys get out here? Let's move you guys out here. We got more for you.
Okay.
So we did that.
Were you were the Chicago Puppets, did you guys ever dance on the LA version, California's version of Soul Train?
I never did. We had one guy in the group that did. He went down there a couple times and danced on it. But no, when we got here, no, we were so busy into other things that we didn't dance on the California Soul Train.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we went on that. No.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You were it's like you became a fly on the wall for a lot of big moments in history. Like you said, the original headquarters for Soul Train, but also in your career, you've been a fly on the wall because you were able to perform with a lot of legendary heavyweights. So I want to list off a couple of names.
Oh,
run out of space on my notes, but Ray Charles, Stylistics, Kool and the Gang, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Kenny Rogers, Smokey Robinson, the guy that had a huge influence on your career. Lou Rawls. And like I said, I'm running out of space. So which experience do you feel caused you to be the most starstruck?
Smokey.
Yeah.
Smokey.
I can see that.
Because I didn't expect when I met Smokey, I didn't actually perform with him on his show. But when I met him, we had our name changed from the Puppets to Dream Express. So we're now on a record label. And they threw a party for all the new artists signed to MCA record label, all the new artists. So War was there, and that's where I met Smokey Robinson. So one of the guys came up to me and said, Maurice, Smokey's here. I'm like, oh, what's Smokey gonna be here? We're on MCA Records, it's Motown. Come on. They're like, no, I'm serious. So I knew him I had known him for a long time. So I looked at him, I'd say, he's not lying. So I followed him.
Smokey was here.
So I followed him. So when we got to this place where Smokey was, he was standing up there. And I think he had his Quiet Storm album because he was wearing that fur coat that he had on that album cover. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I could not speak. That's the first time I realized what starstruck was.
Okay.
All I could say, he said, hey, how you doing, young man? And I just like, fine. And that was all that came out, So that was one of the most significant moments. It's like, wow, I met Smokey. So I was starstruck. I said, that's never happened to me again. But it did. It did later on as I went in my career, and I'll tell you about that.
I can imagine how starstruck you would be seeing Smokey we're talking about Smokey Robinson here,
Yeah, exactly. The giant.
we're talking about a giant in music. I guess I would feel the same, seeing a Michael Jackson or Stevie Wonder, you know, those guys as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I can
Even your
imagine.
label mates at MCA.
Say again?
Even your label mates at MCA, like you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
MCA.
yeah, it was easy to get starstruck just showing up to that building.
Yeah, it was. And it was so it was a lot of fun, you know, coming up in that era getting signed. And I didn't know that till later on who Wes Farrell was, who produced the music for the album Dream Express.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out later that after doing some research, he was the guy that came up with that song Hang On Sloopy. You guys may not have heard of it, but it was a hit back in the day, you know, like in the hippie days and stuff like that.
Okay.
Everybody was hippie. And it was Hang On Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on. Ding, 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 ding. And everybody would dance like this. You know, that kind of thing, you know. So, but I say, oh, there was that guy. And then found out he had produced the Partridge Family, which involved David Cassidy. So this is the same guy that produced that MCA record label.
Wow.
So that was him. I'm like, oh, wow. So I didn't even make the connection. I knew the David Cassidy and the Partridge Family, but I wasn't aware of he was already a hit songwriter from even before then. So I guess, you know, Disco Era came out, they signed us to this record label and produced this thing, and they put us out. And they put that on the radio. I remember the first time hearing it on the radio. Like, wow, we actually on the radio. We're on the radio. We actually on the radio. You know, and they were playing the song Midnight. I think it was Get On Out. It was Get On Board. That's what it was. So that's the song that was playing on the radio. So we had a little, you know, thing with that. From that, we did American Bandstand. We get started on American Bandstand, and we end up making a beeline back to perform on the Midnight Special that we had originally snuck in to discover Wolfman. Well, Wolfman discovered us. We ended up back there as guest stars now. So that was that full circle that brought us back.
Gotcha. I have a question. I know it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But I know you said that you guys never, as a whole or as a unit, performed on the California side of Soul Train. But were there any friendly battles with your group, with other groups like the Lockers or Streetscape?
No, we met the Lockers.
Okay.
And we had heard about the Lockers because of Tony Basil. Now, we didn't have any way to record programs. We didn't have VCRs or anything, or, you know, the hopper or any of that stuff. So we had to just remember what we saw at that moment. The program was on. So we would see them a lot on certain variety shows. Tony Basil would be on, and we saw them. And so we said, oh, wow, that dance is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But we didn't get the chance to really study because we had nothing to do a rerun, you know, rerun that back, you know. So what happened was we just kept in our minds the image of what the style was. And we would go down in our neighborhood to the YMCA, and that's where we practiced a lot. So we ended up coming up with our own style. But when we moved here to California, we were able to meet with the Lockers. That was awesome. Yeah. That was awesome to meet with the Lockers, because the Lockers were a cool group of guys. I'm telling you that right now they were cool. Shabadoo, Fluky Lou, Don Campbell, and Fluky Lou, well, he was a character, but he was a lot of fun and funny. And those guys, I mean, we just love those guys. You know, Slim the Robot, he was there. So we got to meet those guys. And finally, we meet the Puppets. Like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, we heard a lot about you. Well, we heard a lot about you guys too. That's you know, nice. So it was real cool with them. So we were all, you know, and then later on we started hitting the dance circuit here in California. Everybody got to know us, and everything was cool. So we didn't have like that thing, you know, East Coast, West Coast kind of thing. We didn't have that, you know. So
gotcha.
So
and for some of the audience out there who have no clue about who we're talking about, the Lockers consisted of some of the gentlemen that Maurice stated, but also Shabadoo, which is believe he was Ozone on Breaking.
Yeah, he was.
And Fred Berry, who was Rerun on What's Happening.
Right.
So that's the Lockers. That's the whole pop lock. And
Yeah.
yeah. So that's that style, which is very unique, the robot and everything.
Although Fred Berry came later
to
the group. He wasn't in the group that we met. He came later. Okay. So he started off on his television series and then into the Lockers. He merged into that way. So yeah, but the ones we met was the ones I just mentioned, you know, Shabba-Doo, Fluky Don Campbell, Slim the Robot, you know, they all were in that group. So, but they were real cool dudes, all of them, you know, so, you know, I don't know how many are around right now today, but you know, we got to meet them. So that was the highlight of us coming to California. You know, it's for real, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And you are with dancing and multi-talented, so you're a jack of all trades, right? You managed to become, you know, a important part of a historical group, but then also you managed to get on. I feel like MCA did a lot for Black music in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. You know, so you managed to get on that label and you pivot to the music side. So you mentioned you're on the radio now. What was that like to be able to kind of like get a footing in the music industry and hear yourself on the radio? Like at what do you consider like the defining moment of some epitome of success from you know, with your time in MCA?
It's being on the radio and hearing that come across, because we grew up, we hear it, you know, on the radio, we play the albums. I'm gonna call it the albums because back then we didn't have CDs and stuff like that, you know. So, and you hear the albums, but you can dream, but it's hard to. It's a surreal moment when you actually in that position and it's coming back at you, and what's coming back at you is yourself. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, this is big. This is big. Then you say, oh, we've made it. And then after that came the TV shows and, you know, and all that. It's like, wow. And it was fun. It was fun. And I'm like, wow. But I also realized we were on a different level then. That put us on a different plane because none of the other dance groups were ever assigned to a record label like that. So we were the only group that I know of that was signed to a record label, a major record label. So that was like a really surreal moment. So we celebrated in the house and, you know, did all kind of things, you know, like, wow. And after that, you know, everything else took off, the TV shows, American Bandstand, and we did all that stuff as guests. And that's where we met Lou Ross. Lou Ross was filming a show at the same time. And he came in to counsel us because that's the way the artists were back then. If they had been in the business already and then someone new came in, they would come in to kind of counsel and guide you, give you some tips on what to do and not to do in the business. So he came all the way to our dressing room and talked to us. You know, he talked to us about management, how to handle our money, you know, and the producers. He talked to us about a lot of that stuff and wished us good luck, you know, and as far as meeting him. So that was pretty cool too. And Dick Clark was, he was really cool dude, a really cool guy, Dick Clark was. You know, they had like fruit baskets and all the stuff. And I mean, they just treat us like royalty. I'm like, man, look at all this stuff. This ain't, say, well, you realize what we are? We are. But we didn't get big heads about it though.
Okay.
It was still fun for us and exciting. Because after that, I mean, there was TV shows, there was a TV series with Man Jack. They put him in a TV series. So we did this pilot in Canada, in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So then we had Sherry Lewis that we would guest star on that. We had Alan Hamill. We guest starred on his show. They all were Canadians. Both of those were Canadian networks. Mm-hmm. So it was from the CBC network company that we were on. So we did that while we were there. So then a year later, they said, well, listen, that was kind of successful. We wanted to come back and do a series. So they did a 26 episode series of Wolfman Jack Variety Show with us. Now that's where we ran into the Miracles. They were on the show, Gladys Knight and the Pips. They were on the show. And we had Little Richard was on the show. Now, you laughing.
Oh, Little Richard.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you,
Little Richard. Fruity, boy, I tell you.
Little Richard was my favorite. I'm gonna tell you, Little Richard was real cool. We hung out with him for like a whole evening.
Okay.
But everything he says, that's what he was in real life.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever you saw, that's who he was. That's what he was. Mm. And he was the coolest and the funnest person to hang out with. He was. And he would always school us. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to tell you that and do this. But he was so, I look back now and I see that he was so innocently truthful, if that makes any sense.
It makes
It's like
sense.
His heart was so good. He was just truthful about everything. He didn't hide anything. He didn't pretend. He was just truthful. And it was so funny, but to him, that was him. It was natural for him to be that way.
Yeah.
So, but he was the same way. It was fun to hang out with him, with Little Richard. So, that was one of my favorite moments, there.
Yeah. So, and many say that the 70s soul music may be the best era of R&B music. You have the sounds of Motown, Berry Gordy, and so forth, and then you have a lot of people say the 90s era of R&B has the best. It's the best. In your own experience or in your own opinion, what do you think about that statement about the 70s soul music era?
I think they both, because I enjoy them both. And all it did was evolve from here to here. Because in the 90s, the groups seemed like they started to go away. Because in the 70s, we had more groups than we had solo artists. Mm-hmm. So the groups in the 90s started to go away a little bit. And then lead into the millennial years, then a lot of people came out as solo artists. So in the 70s, you had more of that old school romance, swoon and kind of stuff, and I'm get on my knees, ain't too proud to bang, and that kind of thing. Yeah. And then come the 90s, you had Blackstreet and all those guys coming out, after 7, those guys coming out, and after 7, I love, by the way. They still kind of kept that 70s. Yeah, exactly. And they had that suave, classy way, still like the 70s, like the Temptations, or the Main Ingredients and that kind of thing, or Dramatics.
Yeah.
But they had a little more spin on it. And then you started getting Teddy Riley and Blackstreet and all those guys coming in. And then Joe, and Tank and all those guys started coming up. Tyrese, Tyrese was started on the Pepsi Cola commercial.
Yep.
Singing on the
bus.
On the bus.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a CTA and from Chicago, but and so they all started coming in, and I like that music as well. So I don't think one is better than the other.
Okay.
It just evolved.
Gotcha. And
I like both of them. Even till today, I'll sing Teddy Riley's song. I'll sing Temptations song. I'll sing Al Green. I'm just that way. I'll sing Joe. I just love music. And those two eras, I think, were actually, for me, the best eras of music and R&B right there. And they both were I like them equally. There's no better than the other.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you've been surrounded by music your whole life, and you just mentioned a couple of historical bands, right? So it makes perfect sense that you pay respect to the greats that paved the way for you. So along with your and I think a creative way that you've been able to do that, I want to mention 2 tribute bands. I'm not really sure the actual terminology, so you'll help me with that. But you're part of honoring the legacy of the Platters the Elmer Armstrong Platters?
That was the first. Now I don't know if they were a tribute band.
All right, so explain to us, but you're definitely paying homage to the Platters. So can you explain to us the process of Elmer Armstrong's the Platters, but also if you could talk about the Delfonics experience as well. So explain, you could probably put it in better words than I can. Explain to us what your link to those groups.
Now, out of nowhere, my mom, when I was a kid, introduced me to the Platters. That's when I learned some of the Platters songs through her. She would play her music on Friday and Saturday nights. And I listened, I said, man, these guys are pretty cool, right? So fast forward into the future, now in California, I got a call from nowhere. And someone said, hey, my name is Elmer, Elmer Armstrong. I'm like, yeah, okay, and he said, okay. I wanted the Platters. My eyes got big. I'm like, okay, why is he calling me? And how did he get my number? So I told him, okay, yeah. He says, this Maurice? I go, yeah, this is Maurice. And then he told me, I'm looking for a guy to put in the Platters. I need you to come and lead sing for my group. He lost his step. I said, well, yeah, okay. I said, I can do that. So we agreed to meet. He was out of Malibu, California at that time. And I was still here in Orange County. So I had to drive up for rehearsals. But I went there and I did the show with him. So we rehearsed, but he never asked me had I performed or sang before or anything. So I was just listening, because when I'm in a situation like that, I just listen because I'm learning. So I listen, learning, what's your vision? What's your goal? What is my role? Where are we going with this? So then I'm learning. So he never asked me. So up to the time we had to do the concert, he said, now, Maurice, when you go on stage, don't be nervous. If you forget the words, don't worry, just keep going and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. So then we did the show. We got a standing ovation. Good. And people, they were coming and signing autographs and, things like that. So then a lady say, I remember the Platters. She go, but you look so young. You don't look like you're. I say, no, I'm not an original. Now it goes, to answer your question about the tribute or review, which is they will use one of those terminologies if you're not the original group. So you got a tribute band that sings the music or a review band that sings the music. And usually those guys, idolize those groups. So they want to be like them. And so that's what he got the rights, because he says he sang with one. He had sung with one of the original. So the law goes, if you sang with even one original, you have the right to call yourself by that group name.
Really?
So, yes. So he said he fought for 10 years to get that right, because he did sing with them. So now, after that was over, then it moved on to the same situation, the Delfonics. I got a call saying, well, we got a guy. He's looking for somebody to sing in his Delfonics group. Well, his name was Gary Stevens. So Gary Stevens sung with Major Harris, and Randy, this is Randy's last name. I'm drawing a blank right now when I'm senior moments. But he sang with Major Harris and Randy. Randy was one of the original singers of the original Delfonics. There was only 3 of them. So the 2 were brothers, and then the other one was Randy Kane. His last name is Randy Kane. So he was one of the originals. And then you have Wilbur Hart and William Hart. William was the lead singer of the Delfonics. So he was like the locomotive. He was the conductor of all that. So it was only 3 of them. So I think, I don't know how, I can't definitely say how things transpired, but Major Harris came in as lead singer of the group with Randy and Wilbur. And then somehow the guy I'm singing with, Gary Stevens, ended up singing with Major Harris and Randy Kane. So when those guys fell away, Major Harris went solo on his own. So he started making his own records, and Randy King, I don't know what really happened to him, but then Gary decided he going to start his own Delfonics group, and he had it, but he lost the guy, and then he brought me in. So that's how I got into the Delfonics and singing with them. So I'm still there. Gotcha. It's been about 3 years. So that was just a recent occurrence that happened. Oh, wow. So it's been about 3 years. Yeah. So I've been singing with them, and we're still going on. We got some stuff coming up in February, and right after the first of the year, that I'm still singing with him. So it's fun to do it, but we're still the type of group that's more like, we still do choreography. Let's put it that way. Okay. We still do the choreography, like the Temptations. You don't see the Temptations performing without doing choreography, whereas some of the other old school groups, they don't move like that anymore. So they just kind of stand there and sing, and people recognize the music, and they still can sing. I mean, they're still great singers. They still get that voice, but they just don't move like that. Well, we do both. We still singing and moving. Yeah. Like that.
So with the Delfonics, help me if got my memory I just drew a blank. Did they do, or did you guys do, is that the thin line between love and hate? Is that?
No, that's not the Delfonics. It's a thin line between love and hate.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the Delfonics.
No, it's not the Delfonics. Delfonics, they're La 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 means I love you. And didn't I blow your mind this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Yeah.
Thin line between love and hate. That's a totally different group. Yeah. Okay. So they did all that. So now there's actually 4 Delfonics groups, including us, I think. So
really, because everybody sung with an original member.
I don't know if because they sung or got the rights to, or what their situation is, but there are 4 of them. So whenever you're identifying, just like you have to put the name.
Just like I did, because it's kind of like that with the Platters as well. Like,
yes,
that's why I put Elmer Armstrong's The Platters.
Yes, you have to put Elmer Armstrong like that with the, so that it's some Delfonics too. So you have to say Gary Stevens Delfonics.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you have some other ones, that I think one of them Snoop Dogg manages, and then you got another set that's in Philly, where the original Delfonics are from. So they're from Philly. So the original lead singer, he just passed away not too long ago. So technically they're, yes.
Oh, I thought so you're talking about Will.
William Hart.
I thought he was, I was, wow,
Yeah, he just not too long ago, he passed away. So there really is only one of them left, and that's Wilbur Hart, the brother of William. Gotcha. So I don't know if he's performing or not, but my point is what I'm making is you can't see those guys again.
Yeah. So this is a great way to honor.
Yeah. So it's a great way to honor that legacy, and, keep them moving and growing, in the same way with the Platters. I mean, there's even groups that's called the Coasters, which is back in the day. So you guys got to go way back. Okay. But even till this day in Sha-Na-Na, there's a lot of tribute bands out there. Frankie Beverly, in the Four Seasons, and I mean, just all over the place. They even got a Bruno Mars tribute band here in California.
Wow.
That he go in. Yeah, and Bruno Mars is fresh. He's still out. He just came out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not having a tribute, for Bruno, but there is, but it's just people that loves what they do. They love these groups, and they want to keep them alive, so to keep them going. Gotcha. And that's what they do. So that's how I got into the Delfonics.
Okay.
And that's current. So I'm still doing that.
So since that's current, the Delfonics is current, what other projects are you currently working on?
I'm working on 2 things. I still work with the Delfonics, and we got some things coming up in February, just after the first of the year. And we were supposed to, that deal didn't work out, but we were supposed to be on a concert in October. I don't know. I heard, because I don't handle that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting like third party information. Oh, Maurice, be ready, because we got this and got this and got that and got that. And I think I heard him say Keith Sweat, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, that would be a big concert because you got In Vogue and all those artists on that show. You know, so it's already set in stone. That one.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I just saw a flyer on Instagram or a post.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat, In Vogue, 112.
Yeah, Joe, and you know.
Yeah, I just saw that actually. Yep.
And I'm saying, well, that sounds like it's already set. So I don't know if we would be able to squeeze in, but they tried, but we didn't get that one. But we still got February coming up where we have a definite show that we're doing. And so that's going to be in February. And so we're getting ready for that one. And then there's some other ones in the works for, you know, San Francisco and some other places that we're supposed to go. So all that stuff is in the work right now. So it's going strong and they're doing some things. And then I have my own solo project, which I had started prior to being inducted into the Delfonics. So that's where I'm branding my own name, Maurice Christian. So I have my own original music that I wrote myself, of course, and produced it and recorded it. So I'm trying to get that movie now. So it's an old school, smooth R&B is my style. And I love that. I tried the other styles, but like, it doesn't work for me. This is me right here, yeah. Smooth, you know. So I got that, and that's what I'm doing now. And my project is called Be in My Life. And that's the title of my newest CD, Be in My Life. And so I have that one. And
that's the music that you have on your website.
That's the music I have on my website. Yes.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It is very smooth. So yes, it gives you that sound, that R&B sound that, you know, of the old. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just stuff I was at the point I'm thinking, I think, you know, maybe my music days is over. I'll just do some local stuff and just kind of enjoy the music, because I still enjoy the music, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, because the new music out is different, you know. And it's like, well, you know. So I have friends around like, no, this should be on the radio. You should do this. You should do this. Mm-hmm. So I thought about it. I said, okay, but, you know, there's not any more record companies around. They're kind of independent. There's a big, huge financial bill that's going to come with that. And where's that money coming from? And do people believe in you enough to put that kind of support behind you? So that was all those things. I said, well, let me try it and test. So I did. And then people was like, oh, I like this, man. This should be on the radio. This should be that. This should be that. Day and age.
You can just put it out there and people find the music.
And they find the music, you know. So I said, well, okay. So I put it out there, printed some up, gave some away, just to see what people think. They're like, Maurice, this is real good. Wow, this is you? And you wrote those? I'm like, yeah, you know, because you do something yourself, you don't know. I mean, you have an idea, but unless it comes back at you, you have no idea, because they gotta validate it and say, yeah, it's good. You know, so you put it in front of people you don't know, and then they have to say it's good. You say, okay, well, they don't know me. They have no reason to say, oh yeah, come on, Barry, that's great. Yeah, they have no reason to say that because they don't know you. So that's always my test of how good things, if it's acceptable by others. You know, and that's what I do. I know the friends will support you anyway, but the strangers will tell you the truth. That sucked, man. What are you doing? Should save your money, man. Went to the movies, saw, you know, Denzel, you know, something, you know, Equalizer 3, man. That's some popcorn. You're going to spend it on that, man. That sucks, you know, because they'll tell you the truth.
Exactly. They definitely will.
Tell you the truth.
So what we'll do, Maurice, is to number one, we're gonna make sure that we keep an ear out for February, but also to drive people towards your website. Mm-hmm. We'll put all your information on the screen. Where can people find you on social media or online?
I go to IG. It's called @MauriceJustUs. I also have the link to my website there where they can go and hear samples of the music. So they can go there. There's a bio for them to read, and then there's music for them to listen to as well. And then I also have there's a link on there that will take you to an e-card. And now there's an e-card with some of the songs from my album that's on there that you can send to people that just to say, I'm thinking about you. And that's what, so 3 of those are being used, and that's being used in a context with video. So you're listening to it or whatever message that you would send yourself. They're reading the message while they listen to the music and watching this video scene go. So that's what we have. So that's through a buddy of mine, Taste the Craft. And he's on there. And so we have that connection. So if you go on my website, you can go to his website and you can see the e-cards, because that's his baby. And he used independent artists, you know, for that sort of thing. So all the music is legit, all the music is legal, and you can go there and you send cards out. And I have one when Mother's Day is coming up, is I wrote in honor of my mom called The Mother's Hands. So that's one of the ones as well that's also in an e-card. Or you can also just download it if you like that song, you know, to send to your mom. And so then they can hear all that stuff. I'm still working on it because it's still new. So I'm still adding some things and taking some things out. But the basic information and product is there on that website. And that's, if they go directly to the website, it's myintimatevoice.com. So that's what it is, myintimatevoice.com. And they go just straight there. And that's it.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
we have your information on the screen. Maurice, thanks for joining us. You just lasted we just lasted 12 rounds with the champion. How you feel?
Oh. Well, I'm feeling good. Bring on the next challenger.
And you actually have a performance tonight, man. We're gonna wish you, you know.
I do. Yeah, today is just a little local thing.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
but you know, so my name gets around here, like, come do this, come do that here. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's a little local thing, but I take everything as important.
Yeah.
Everything to me, no big, small, is highly important to me.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to waste your time. You know, Bill say, come down here. I'm not going to waste Bill time. I'm bringing my AAA game. You know, I don't care how big or how small, I'm bringing the best, because everybody deserves the best.
Go full out.
Yeah.
Full out.
Yeah, that I got.
Yeah,
So
whether you perform in front of 30 or 30,000.
Don't matter.
Don't matter.
One other thing is, before this newest CD, I have one that's out all over the radios, all over social media, Spotify,
Okay.
CD Baby, no matter what. It was my first CD, which is, again, one that was written and produced by me. So all the music is original. So if you're a man, a woman of God, and you want worship music, I have that. And that one's called The Greatest Story.
Okay.
And you can just search my name, Maurice Christian. It'll all come up. You'll see a lot of things on there on the internet. So that one you can get anywhere on Spotify, anything, anywhere. You can get that Greatest Story. And so that's the other one I have. So this is actually my second one as an independent artist.
Okay.
And then besides CMCA record label, and then I had a producer try to make me a rap. I don't talk to that one too much, but he wanted to make me a rapper. And I was like, no, I don't want people laughing at me.
Yeah.
The rappers will know, well, he ain't no rapper.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
They would know, like, they ain't no rapper. Like, no.
Definitely.
No. But anyway, I appreciate being on the show, and I thank you for the invitation, and a shout out to my publicist, Desiree Benson.
Shout out to the lovely, beautiful Desiree Benson.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing woman. And I'm like, you want me as a client? You know, me as a client?
If she takes you on, she sees something special, and we trust
She
her
does.
eye.
Yes, and I trust her. And it was like, that was amazing. That was a highlight moment for me.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, I want you. Come on, let's talk. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
So big shout out to her. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And guys, you guys know, please give us a follow. You can support us by liking this video, leaving a comment, subscribing to our channel, and hitting that notification bell so that anytime we upload any new music, any new videos, you're instantly notified.
Right on. Sounds great.
Yes,
perfect.
sir.
So this
I'm gonna subscribe.
Okay, all right.
I
tell you what, We'll definitely be following you.
Oh, cool.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
This concludes another episode of Unanimous Decision, guys. Thank you for tuning in to And in This Corner.
Peace.
Peace.